So what does all this mean? Well, the more learning styles and movement we can create in our lessons, the more we open up that gatekeeper of the pattern sensing, and the more we can help their pathways connect and become stronger, increasing their learning recall and attention. So let's take a look at the rainbow colored matter between our ears. And let's look at the parts of the brain and what learning styles are associated with it. All right, first, this pink area is known as our occipital. You see me trying to catch all my spelling mistakes here. Our occipital contains visual, spatial, and natural learners. Our next region, this is our parietal, the lovely yellow. And our parietal region contains also visual, logical, spatial, and solitary. Now, as you see, some of these are going to have repeating learning styles. That doesn't mean that if you are using this region of the brain with your learning styles, that you're automatically going to get also this type. Remember that our visual learners, for example, they're also going to be paired with something else. They'll have a strong one and a moderate one and then a weak one. So even though they're in different regions of the brain repeating, that doesn't mean that you can only activate that one area and be rest assured that you've gotten all visual learners. Moving right along, this large section here in the front, yep, you guessed it, that's our frontal region. And our frontal region, that contains our verbal learners, our physical learners, our solitary, our social, and our natural. All right, and then the green section, well, that's our temporal lobe. And our temporal lobe, if you might have guessed, that is your auditory, our musical, and our verbal and social. You might guess social because, they can be chatty Cathys. Now, I want you to look at these lovely colors. And I want you to think about when you're teaching, what do you think your lesson plans right now are activating the most? What's interesting is our traditional schooling usually deals with the temporal lobe. It's failing to miss a lot of the other areas. Hey, what's this guy down here? Well, this is our cerebellum. Whoops, ignore that. You can see I need some practice with this stylus. Would you guys believe that I've actually practiced quite a bit? So our cerebellum, this is our physical. Our natural. Remember we talked about earlier, this is known as the birthplace of all learning. Now, if you were to look at your lesson plans, do they incorporate a lot of physical learning style or a lot of natural learning style? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say not, because that's how I was when I first started teaching. In fact, I fell victim to it often. If this is the birthplace of our learning, Why are our lesson plans not incorporating this physical movement aspect? Some of you might be asking, well, what about those geniuses of the past? Or how about how well you did in school without all this brain activation nonsense? Well, to that, we at TYC say a tree can grow in rocky soil. A plant can grow in darkness until it reaches sunlight. But they both search for nourishment. So why continue planting in rocky soil or darkness? Let's say that we've developed an optimal learning environment. Our bodies are fed, our lessons are engaging, our heart rate is pumped, and the glucose is fueling. Now comes the problem of how can we be sure to anchor our academic concepts? At the same time, how do we develop emotionally stable brains? What about children who process information and communicate well with others?